thank all of you for inviting me. By the way, happy Flag Day, and for all of you that forgot, happy birthday. Today is the Army's birthday, 239 years. I've had a lot of fun during the past couple of weeks pulling LT Chin's leg about what I'm about to say. So enjoy watching him squirm in his chair or wherever he's standing, and hoping I don't say something that'll screw up his chances for the career course. I was asked to speak at this dedication because this particular helicopter, 6600932, was one of the 187th Assault Helicopter Company's originals, and it came across with the unit when it moved from Fort Bragg to Vietnam. I see a few veterans in the field here that probably flew in this particular bird. The Blackhawk on its nose is the original marking. However, when the CAV unit that has been Blackhawk since Custer's last day were deployed, the 187th had their name changed to the Crusader. Having never been a Blackhawk pilot, I asked LT what he wanted me to speak about, and he gave me one of the toughest speaking tasks I've ever faced. What did the Huey mean to me? And then he only gave me 5 minutes to tell you about it. I've been writing this speech for 1 week and 46 years. So please indulge me if I delay your departure just slightly. By the end, I think that you will see that to keep my talk relevant, it is as much about you and your families mixed in with my love for the Huey. The importance of today should be focused on you, not some old fogey's war stories about a Huey. To get started, I can tell you, it is not this aircraft that is important. It is the Huey and what it represents to every flight crew. As importantly as what it represents, and as importantly, what it represents to every grunt on the ground who ever felt the relief after they heard one approach. Why is the Huey important? I know everyone here would like to believe they're going to be part of a mission that is significant, to know they made a difference. In Vietnam, there were no operational books or manuals on missions for the Huey. We wrote them for you. We made a difference. One only has to look at the mortality and morbidity statistics from any previous war to recognize the importance of the Huey. Huey crews, and I do mean crews, crew chiefs, gunners, tech support, maintenance, and of course the pilots, set a standard of excellence that will be hard to duplicate. In the year that I spent with the 187th, at least 1/3 of all the people that went home injured or in a box were not actual flying crews. They were individuals who volunteered for the mission above and beyond their MOS. Why? Because that was the Huey's mission. When our brothers on the ground needed us, nothing stopped us from getting there. The Huey got us there and got them home. It was their unselfish dedication and the personal sacrifices that deserved the recognition, not an airframe. I never saw a Huey mission aborted, and all too often I saw pilots fly through the gates of hell to get people out. I hope that sense of mission, that sense of love for fellow man continues, but I fear that technology is now superseding the human condition. What is being on the forefront? In World War I, it was the biplane and the Red Baron. Aerial warfare began. General Billy Mitchell's dive bombers blew a ship out of the water, and all of a sudden we had aircraft carriers. Naval warfare has never been the same. Then at the beginning of World War II, Winston Churchill gave his ever-famous speech to the House of Commons. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. A tribute to the Spitfires in the Royal Air Force. The Huey helicopter is the Sopwith Camel, the dive bomber, or the Spitfire of my generation. The Huey and its crews inaugurated helicopter warfare, and modern combat has never been the same. At 19 and flunking out of college, the Selective Service Board decided to enroll me into the very extended Uncle Sugar's Mean Green Maturity School. It didn't take me long after arriving at Fort think back on my 2 flying lessons in a Cessna 150 to know that walking or slogging through a rice paddy was not going to be on my preferred bucket list. Those basic trainee sergeants were bound and determined to get me into OCS. I'll never forget the sales pitch they gave me. We are 17,000 lieutenants behind for last fiscal year. I was too inexperienced to figure out the meaning behind that statistic, which in retrospect should make me eminently qualified to be a second lieutenant. All I could dream about and lusted for was flying a Huey. It finally happened in the 7th month of flight school. As any of the other Vietnam pilots here know, that knee-knocking adrenaline that was pumping through our system at the time was probably a little like what's going on under your camos right now. The anticipation was almost overwhelming, and they hadn't invented depends yet. As we did every day for the previous 7 months, we strapped into that beautiful beat with our instructors and started the pre-flight checklist. Finally, the call-out. Chief, is the rotor clear and untied? Then that moment that changed our lives forever. Clear! Tick, 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 as the igniters fired, and then that all too familiar whirring sound of our first turbine engine turning over. That sound to this day still drives my blood pressure and emotions out of sight. That day, that minute, that moment in time has been etched into our brains and our memories forever. Our lives changed. The only thing that supplants this is the birth of your child. In a matter of weeks, we'd be flying Hueys in the jungles of Vietnam. Little did we realize that there was so much more to learn, and it was not about flying. It was so much more. It was an almost daily infusion of exhilaration, terror, suffering, mourning, exhaustion, teamwork, mission, laughter, and joy. Fortunately, after 46 years, we now seem to dwell only on the teamwork, the mission, the laughter, and joy. Due to scheduling issues in the second half of flight school, I was one of 7 RLOs who were transferred to fly and train with the inaugural class of warrant officer candidates based on a new graduation schedule. You all know what an RLO is, don't you? A real live officer. I was a lieutenant, not a warrant officer, or worse yet, a warrant officer candidate. Personally embarrassing for me at the time, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Fortunately for you, you are being deployed as a unit, will be coming back as a unit. You know each other, you have worked with each other, and even before you get to your next assignment, you know what the other does, possibly who their families are, and most importantly, who you can depend on. Vietnam was different, and thankfully for you, the Army has learned the importance of cohesiveness. When I got on that plane to Vietnam by myself, I knew no one. When I left the OW at the gate, she knew no one. You all know what an OW is, don't you? The original wife. By the way, she's still the original wife, and on July 1st, it'll be 47 years. Now that's what you call a combat veteran. I was assigned to Vietnam on the day that the 187 changed its name from Blackhawks, the markings on your helicopter, to the Crusader, the patch that fell down, but I'm wearing. And if you can see it, take a look at the shield and the cross. Everyone thought we were an Episcopalian special ops unit. I was assigned as the 1st platoon section leader and soon thereafter platoon leader. After the company arrived from its mission, I met my platoon and it was that I had been riding the bus with, going to class with, and flying with for the past 5 months were there. That flight school camaraderie developed into a nucleus of professionalism and friendship, and that only flying in combat creates. Its bond is unbreakable over time. Forged in combat with the tutelage from the experienced Blackhawk aircraft commanders, the 5 of us also became aircraft commanders and developed into a precision team. The Blue Angels had nothing on us. After 7 more months of flying together, 8 to 12-hour days, some days more and seldom less, we no longer went to the flight line and strapped in. We strapped the Huey on. We became one with the Huey and one as a flight. Our unit was no different. This happened all over Vietnam. That bond and experience of dealing with an assault Huey platoon has guided me through every level of emotion in my life ever since. There is an unexplainable exhilaration and emotion on being part of a section, platoon, and company where everyone was the key player and a full partner. This feeling can never be explained, which will be impossible for your families to understand. It can only be experienced. It makes no difference if you're flying a Huey, torquing a wrench, or flying a desk. It happens. In closing, you are now getting ready to generate your own memories and experiences to recite to your children and grandchildren. So let me give you a couple words of advice to ensure that your memories and experiences stay with you. While you're away, I want you to do a few things that will help you 40 years from now. Spouses too. Take pictures. With the advent of digital, there's no reason why your experiences shouldn't be the most documented in history. Take pictures of all of the people around you and what they are doing. Let National Geographic worry about the scenery. Take lots of face shots. Annoy your friends. Take more pictures. 2, write down who everyone is, what they did, and what they mean to you. Trust me, you're going to forget many of them if you don't. Even if you think you hate them now, you won't in 40 years. Spouses and family, you too can form a bond. This journey will be a whole lot easier for you if you'll go out of your way to help each other and be there for each other. Men and women, tears are always authorized. Occupy your time now. Help each other and this immediate crisis will mellow. What seems like a long time now will be over shortly. My wife and I have been there twice. We know. Gentlemen and ladies, Godspeed. I know there isn't a veteran in this audience that wouldn't trade places with you so you wouldn't have to go. We can't. So I promise you, we will be praying for you and your family. Oh yeah, the Huey, what it means to me, it's now just a helicopter on your sacred mountain, but it still carries a lifetime of memories that a Chinook couldn't sling.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to thank all the veterans here today and a big round of applause for everybody for answering the call to our country.